Just as Xiao Chen was about to turn back, he suddenly paused, frowning slightly as his gaze shifted behind him. Inside an old building not far away, Songya's bodyguard's expression changed. He hadn't expected Xiao Qin to notice him realizing the situation. He immediately hurried downstairs, preparing to leave, but the moment he reached the ground floor, his face drastically changed. Xiao Chen was already standing at the doorway, staring at him. From Xiao Chen's house to this building, the distance was at least 400 meters. Even sprinting full speed wouldn't be fast enough. Yet here he was, standing in front of him as if he had teleported. Following me? Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes, locking onto the man. At first, he thought it was someone sent by Gu Yan, but to his surprise, it turned out to be one of Songya's bodyguards. I'm called Old Wolf, the man said, trying to keep calm. Mr. Zhao, I mean no harm. Our boss would like to have a word with you. I wonder if you have some time. Old Wolf now spoke with unmistakable respect after witnessing what Xiao Chen was capable of. He couldn't afford not to. Xiao Chen nodded slightly. All right, lead the way. He was curious. What exactly did Songya want with him? More importantly, if he did end up killing Gu Yan, would it bring him trouble? He wasn't foolish enough to think he could do whatever he wanted without consequences, at least not yet. Old Wolf nodded and gestured toward the car. Even now, he could still feel the chill in Xiao Chen's eyes, along with the terrifying aura that surrounded him. He had to admit, he was genuinely afraid. Earlier, he thought that while Xiao Chen was strong, he might at least be able to hold his own in a fight. But now? That illusion had been shattered, covering 400 meters in under 30 seconds, through twisting city streets, not even close to human. And he had just seen it with his own eyes, Xiao Chen lifting a massive man into the air and flinging him like a ragdoll. There was no other word for it. It was monstrous. To Old Wolf, Xiao Chen now seemed less like a man, and more like a beast wearing human skin. Gu Yan must have a death wish provoking someone like this. Nervously, he ushered Xiao Chen into the car and drove straight to Jinyatang, where Songya was waiting. Upon arrival, Old Wolf quickly walked up to her and relayed everything he had seen. Songya turned her eyes to Xiao Chen, astonishment in her gaze. She hadn't expected him to be this dangerous. Mr. Zhao, she said with a smile, I may have underestimated you. Xiao Chen didn't respond immediately. His gaze sharpened. Why were you spying on me, Miss Song? Oh, it was nothing malicious. Songya replied with a charming smile. Just a curiosity. She continued, eyes on him actually. I'd like to make you an offer. What do you say? Come work for me. I can pay you 5 million a year. Her voice was full of expectation. But Xiao Chen simply shook his head. There was a time when even 500,000 a year would have made him sleepless with excitement, but now, that kind of money meant nothing to him. He could casually flip some supplies and make more than that. And with the multiverse procurement system, it wasn't just one apocalyptic world he had access to. The potential of the other worlds, that was the real game changer. So no, he didn't need her money. Seeing his decisive refusal, Songya recalled the gold bars he had casually produced. She said, in that case, Mr. Zhao, name your price. No need. Xiao Chen replied. I have no intention of becoming someone's subordinate. But he added after a brief pause, I'm open to a partnership. A partnership? Songya blinked, caught off guard. What kind of partnership? Gold. Xiao Chen said simply. I can provide a lot of it. The only question is, can you handle it? Given that she already had some idea of his capabilities, and she controlled Jinyatang, it wasn't far-fetched to assume she could launder or distribute the gold. Songya looked at him, visibly stunned. If that's true, then I assure you, not a single piece will go missing. She didn't ask where the gold was coming from. In fact, after he had brought in gold bars twice, she'd already tried investigating. But clearly, no large batch of gold had gone missing. At least not within the country. It might have come from somewhere else. Still, that wasn't her concern. As long as the supply was clean, she didn't care about the source. Mr. Zhao, she asked suddenly, how do you plan to deal with Gu Yan? Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes. I was going to ask you the same question. Miss Song, Gu Yan has his eyes on me too, she said with a sigh. He's got quite the crew under him. He's a major player in this city. And someone like him doesn't play by any rules. Now that you've angered him, he won't stop coming after you. Her eyes met his. So what will you do? Xiao Chen stared at her, letting out a cold laugh. You want me to kill him for you, don't you? He knew exactly what she was thinking. She wanted to use him as her blade. Although Gu Yan was already one of Xiao Qin's targets, that didn't mean he was willing to be used as someone else's weapon. Mr. Zhao, Everything that happened tonight, along with what happened in the village, I've already covered up for you. Songya said calmly otherwise. Do you really think that with your capabilities, no one would come knocking after Zhao Yan and his whole family were suddenly beaten half to death? Xiao Chen gave a slight nod. It was true on the surface. There were no loose ends, but in reality, there were plenty of clues. He had fully expected to be watched or questioned by now. And yet nothing, not a single person had come to find him. Of course, that was partly because the village chief and his son had a terrible reputation. After some police questioning, it became clear they had far too many enemies to narrow it down. You want me to kill Gu Yan? Xiao Chen said with a lazy smile, eyes locked onto hers. What do I get in return? Songya was caught off guard for a moment. She had indeed been hoping Xiao Chen would take care of Gu Wai, and even someone like Old Wolf wouldn't dare take on that task. He had assumed Xiao Chen, despite his strength, wouldn't want to get involved. But to her surprise, he asked what he would get as casually as if he were discussing a business deal. So it was true, just like Old Wolf had said, this man was a beast in human skin. And Gu Yan had truly provoked the wrong person. As she met Xiao Chen's unwavering gaze, Songya realized something. He wasn't joking, not even a little. He was dead serious. That was what truly frightened her. Usually, when someone was asked to kill, they'd at least show some emotion. But Xiao Chen showed none. No hesitation, no fear, just calm intent. She suddenly understood. This man was dangerous, the kind of dangerous that didn't just bend rules, he broke them. What do you want, Mr. Zhao? She asked, inhaling slowly, her tone more cautious now. Xiao Chen thought for a moment before replying, I haven't decided yet. When I do, I'll let you know. Let's just say you owe me a favor. He didn't yet know what he wanted. But having someone like Songya in his debt, that would certainly be useful. After all, in this city, she was a key player. Deal, Songya said without hesitation. She knew that favor might come with a high price, but it was worth it. This was her best shot at getting rid of Gu Yan. If she let it slip by, the trouble he brought would only grow. Lately, Gu Yan had gone beyond pestering. He was pressuring her. Even with someone as capable as Old Wolf by her side, she still felt uneasy. The real problem wasn't Gu Yan himself, it was the power backing him. In today's world, brute strength meant little without the right connections. But now, someone had appeared. Someone who didn't care about connections. A storm from outside the system. Mr. Zhao, she said, Gu Yan's house is covered in surveillance and his men, he's got quite a few. Many of them are armed. Xiao Chen thought for a moment. Give me the address. Since he was already set on it, he might as well get it done quickly and fulfill the task Gu Ming had given him. Songya didn't hesitate. She immediately gave him an address. All right, Xiao Chen said as he stood up. I'll take care of him for you, but make sure no trouble comes back to me afterward. His eyes narrowed slightly as he added, don't worry, the cameras won't catch me. With that, he turned and left. Watching him go, Songya turned to Old Wolf and asked quietly, do you think he can actually pull it off? Old Wolf gave a bitter smile. I don't know. He could fight, sure, but he wasn't invincible. Gu Yan's men had guns, and even someone like Xiao Chen couldn't take on a firing squad. Or, so he thought. But that man, Old Wolf exhaled, voice heavy, is extremely dangerous. He still remembered every second of what had happened earlier. The speed at which Xiao Chen had appeared, the look in his eyes. It was like being stared at by death itself. He had genuinely thought he might die on the spot. Outside Jinyatong, Xiao Chen pulled out his phone and called Gu Ming. Do you know No. 108, East Street, Cloud City? That's my old home. Gu Ming responded immediately. Now it's Gu Yan's place. You're going after him? Gu Ming asked excitedly. Brother, take him out for me. There's a lot of surveillance there. Gu Ming added quickly, but that doesn't matter. With your teleportation, you can jump straight to the second floor. As long as you avoid the cameras right after that, you'll be in the clear. Brother, after 2 bottles of the evolution serum, your body can probably dodge bullets. Go for it. Listening to Gu Ming's excited rambling, Xiao Chen nodded. He was fully aware of his capabilities now, sticking to shadows and avoiding the crowds. Xiao Chen moved swiftly through the night, until he reached Gu Yan's villa. His eyes narrowed as he looked at the building. Taking a deep breath, he vanished. Teleportation activated to ensure everything went smoothly. Xiao Chen pushed his limits, teleporting a full 50 meters in one go. In the blink of an eye, the scene around him shifted. He now stood inside a second-floor bedroom. From beyond the door, Gu Yan's voice rang out, angry and agitated. Are you kidding me? That bastard injured so many of my men. And you're telling me he's just some ordinary farmer? Gu Yan roared. I don't care how you do it, this has to be handled. I won't be able to sleep until he's dead. Get me more people. I don't care how many. I want him dead. Hearing this, Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes. It was clear who Gu Yan wanted dead him. He casually rolled his wrist, warming up while he waited. Tell them to stay in the hospital if they have to, but you, go get more men. I don't care what it takes. That kid has to die. As Gu Yan finished barking orders, he turned and walked toward the bedroom. Inside, Xiao Chen stood silently in a corner, watching. The moment Gu Yan stepped inside, his eyes widened in disbelief as he saw Xiao Chen standing there with a cold smile. He opened his mouth to scream, but before he could make a sound, everything went black. In an instant, Gu Yan vanished. Xiao Chen teleported away just as swiftly as he had come. Silent, unnoticed, not even alerting a single person in the villa within moments and a few short teleports. He appeared at the edge of the street then. Unhurriedly, he strolled back home. Gu Yan has been captured, he is in my personal space now. Xiao Chen informed Gu Ming while watching the terrified man squirm in the pocket dimension. He had always been curious. Could someone be brought into the apocalypse world? It was worth a try. If it worked, great. If not, well, the guy was as good as dead anyway, he couldn't care less. But just as that thought crossed his mind, the system responded coldly in his head. Notice, weak life forms cannot be brought across dimensions. Xiao Chen paused, staring at Gu Yan. Yep, definitely a weak life form. Looks like I can't bring him along, he muttered with a shrug. Then contacted Gu Ming. What do you want me to do with him? Kill him, brother. However you want, just make it painful. Gu Ming shouted, his voice trembling with rage. That bastard broke all my limbs, then had me sealed in concrete. That night, Xiao Chen teleported several times until he left the city entirely. Out in the wilderness, he finally released Gu Yan. To Gu Yan, it was like blinking and finding himself in the middle of nowhere. Xiao Chen stood there, waiting. Gu Yan's face turned ghostly pale, he was so frightened. He pissed himself on the spot. You? What are you? Are you even human? Gu Yan screamed, trembling violently. He was terrified, genuinely terrified. In his memory, he had only just stepped into the bedroom and seen Xiao Chen before the scene around him changed. Now he was in the wilderness. This wasn't just strange. It was supernatural. He realized too late that he had messed with something he shouldn't have. What do you think? Xiao Chen asked, smiling faintly. Brother, I was wrong, seriously wrong. Gu Yan stammered. I didn't know you had this kind of power. I swear from now on, I won't ever cross you again. He was shaking, knees buckling as he dropped to the ground, completely forgetting his soaked pants. Sorry, you be got to die tonight. Xiao Chen replied coldly. Why? Brother. Why? Gu Yan cried out in panic. I mean, sure. My guys caused some trouble, but it's not like you lost anything, right? I'll stop. I swear. I'll pay you, name a price. Whatever it is, I'll give it to you. He was desperate now, no pride, no dignity, just fear. He knew better than anyone, provoke someone like this, and you die. No questions asked. Brother, we don't have any deep feud between us. Do we? Gu Yan pleaded. That's true, Xiao Chen said with a nod. But I'm collecting a debt on someone's behalf. A debt? How much? I'll pay it. Gu Yan shouted, all his underworld bravado vanished. He just wanted to live. His name is Gu Ming. Ring a bell? Xiao Chen asked, still smiling. The moment Gu Yan heard that name, his face turned deathly pale. You know Gu Ming? He trembled violently, fear swallowing his voice. A few years ago, Gu Ming had just been a young punk under his second uncle's wing. But when that uncle mysteriously died, Gu Yan set his sights on Gu Ming, figuring he was just another soft target. He stole every bit of his uncle's fortune and personally had Gu Ming tortured and buried in concrete. Gu Ming should have been long dead, forgotten. But now, someone had come for revenge. Do you know my second uncle, or something? Gu Yan asked shakily. He couldn't believe a rich, powerful figure like Xiao Chen would have any connection with a loser like Gu Ming. The only explanation that made sense was that Xiao Chen once owed something to his powerful second uncle. Nope, Xiao Chen replied flatly. Never met the guy. But Gu Ming calls me brother, and he asked me to kill you, so here I am. Xiao Chen looked at Gu Yan with a pleasant smile. Tell me, do you think I should kill you? Impossible. Gu Yan blurted out in panic. Brother, you must be mistaken. My cousin's been dead for years. Oh, I know, Xiao Chen nodded. You even sealed him in concrete. He stared at Gu Yan, his tone calm before he died. He asked me to dig him up and give him a proper burial. A chill ran down Gu Yan's spine. You're a ghost, aren't you? He shouted in terror. He spun around, trying to flee, but before he could take a step, Xiao Chen's figure suddenly materialized right in front of him. Wearing the same cold, mocking smile. Gu Yan lost control again. Urine soaking through his pants. Brother, please. Whatever my cousin gave you, I'll double it. Just say the word and I'll give you anything you want. He begged, desperation plain in his voice. But Xiao Chen only looked at him with indifference. Sorry. He sighed. What he gave me, you can't afford. With that, he reached out, grabbed Gu Yan by the neck, and slowly lifted him off the ground. Gu Yan struggled desperately, arms flailing, but it was useless. His strength was no match. The suffocating pressure closed in on his windpipe, his eyes filled with terror, silently pleading for mercy. But Xiao Chen didn't waver. He stared coldly into Gu Yan's eyes and tightened his grip. With a final squeeze, Gu Yan's body went limp, dead. Xiao Chen looked at the corpse in his hands, then with a thought, stored it in his dimensional space. He would deliver it to Gu Ming personally. After that, he teleported to the location Gu Ming had described, the place where Gu Yan had buried him in concrete. With a single punch, the concrete cracked apart under Xiao Chen's immense strength. He dug quickly, and soon uncovered a sealed barrel. Inside was Gu Ming's corpse. He stored it alongside Gu Yan's, then turned and left. By the time he got home, it was nearly dawn. Without another thought, he went straight to bed. The next morning, as soon as he woke up, Xiao Chen messaged Gu Ming. Gu Yan is dead. He also told him to place an order. When Xiao Chen delivered the goods, he would bring the bodies. Just after sending the message, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, he found Song Ya and Old Wolf standing outside. Song Ya's eyes burned with intensity as she looked at him. Gu Yan's gone, she said, taking a deep breath. Mr. Xiao, what do you think might have happened to him? Whatever happened, Xiao Qin said inferently. He's not coming back. Her expression froze for a moment, then she understood. He had really done it. Gu Yan had vanished from his heavily guarded home, and not a single surveillance camera had caught a thing. It was as if he had simply disappeared. The security, the cameras, the men, they had all been useless. At that moment, Song Ya's view of Xiao Chen shifted entirely. I see, she said softly. Then, with a smile, she added, then I owe you a favor. Mr. Zhao. She looked at him seriously. If you ever need anything, you can come to me. Good. Xiao Chen nodded. This was exactly what he wanted in the real world. What he lacked wasn't power, but connections and influence. Songya, at least, had both. She ran Jin Yatan and had a solid foothold in the city. As Xiao Chen continued traversing between worlds, he would be bringing back increasing amounts of gold and other valuable items. He would need someone reliable to handle it all. And Songya, she wouldn't dare betray him now. She had seen his power firsthand. She knew how easily he could make someone vanish. That was enough. After a few more words, Songya took her leave. As soon as she left, Gu Ming's voice came from the other end of Xiao Chen's communicator. Brother, you really dealt with Gu Yan? Is he dead? His voice was practically vibrating with excitement. I killed him. Place an order. I'll come deliver it now. Xiao Chen replied simply. He remembered Gu Ming had mentioned an overseas account. If there was still money in it, Xiao Chen would have one less thing to worry about. Got it. Bro, give me a sec. Soon. Gu Ming placed an order. Most of what he needed was food. Xiao Chen understood food shortages were common in the apocalypse world. Without hesitation, he loaded up a massive amount of grain into his dimensional space, and then he traveled. The next moment, Xiao Chen appeared right in front of Gu Ming, who immediately rushed forward and grabbed his arm. Bro, is he really dead? Xiao Chen smiled, then, with a wave of his hand, a large pile of food supplies appeared in front of him, along with two corpses. One was reduced to bones, its surface still caked with hardened cement. The other was unmistakably Gu Yan. Staring at Gu Yan's lifeless body, Gu Ming's expression darkened. That bastard's really dead. Gu Ming muttered, gritting his teeth. Then his gaze shifted toward the skeletal remains, his own former body. A strange look filled his eyes. It was surreal. He had crossed into another world, and yet now stood face to face with his own corpse. The feeling was indescribable. Thanks, bro. Gu Ming turned to Xiao Chen with genuine gratitude. I won't be polite about it. Back then, I had a feeling my cousin would make a move, so I transferred a lot of money to an offshore account. I was planning to leave the country. Start over. But I never got the chance. He caught me before I could escape and killed me. Gu Ming smiled bitterly. Then handed Xiao Chen a piece of paper. There's still over 100 million USD in that account. It's yours now. It was a non-traceable offshore account. With just the credentials, the funds could be accessed. Xiao Chen memorized the password. Nodded. Then began collecting the supplies. He was getting ready to leave. Oh, and bro. Next time you come, bring more vegetables and fruit, Gu Ming added with a grin. Just grains alone aren't enough. I'm really starting to miss Earth. On Earth, anything was available. In this apocalypse, even a bowl of rice felt like luxury. No problem, Xiao Chen replied, taking the gold bars Gu Ming handed him and preparing to go. I've also prepared an intermediate evolution serum for you, Gu Ming added. Even in this world, it's incredibly rare. I put a lot of effort into getting this one bottle. As he passed over the case, Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. So far, all his power had come from these evolution serums she had already taken to bottles, and now, with an intermediate grade version in hand, the effects would no doubt be even more significant. I'm heading out, Xiao Chen said. And in the next instant, he vanished. The apocalypse world was mysterious, but it wasn't safe. Earth, for all its flaws, was still far more secure. Back at his apartment, Xiao Chen was just about to drink the serum when someone knocked on the door. He opened it to find a man and a woman standing outside, eyes sharp and scrutinizing. The woman, especially, was staring at him like a hawk. You're Xiao Chen? She asked coldly. Regarding Gu Yan's disappearance, we'd like you to come with us. Xiao Chen nodded calmly. No panic. It made sense. Gu Yan had disappeared, and he had just made a move against Xiao Chen the day before. Naturally, Xiao Kron would be a suspect. In the interrogation room, several people questioned him at length. Xiao Chen calmly said he'd been home asleep the entire night. And the evidence supported him. They found no surveillance footage showing him leaving the house. Before long, a lawyer arrived. Sent by Song Yao. Xiao Chen was released on bail. After leaving the station, he headed straight for Jinyatown. Song Yao was already waiting. Don't worry, Mr. Xiao, she said with a smile. There won't be any real trouble. Gu Yan wasn't a good man. He's been on a lot of people's radar for a while now. But after what you did, his backers are getting uneasy. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes. You think his boss will come after me? There was a faint chill in his voice. Leaving loose ends wasn't his style. If someone tried to retaliate, he'd make them disappear. It was as simple as that. If they have any brains, they won't touch you. Sonya replied with an awkward laugh. She could tell Xiao Chen wouldn't hesitate to kill again. This guy was lethal, and clearly didn't think twice about it. She couldn't believe someone like this had been hiding in a small city like Yun City all along. Let's hope so, Xiao Chen said with a nod. In truth, he wasn't concerned at this point. He had evolved to a terrifying degree. As long as no one launched a large-scale assault, he was nearly untouchable. Even then, with his speed and teleportation, not even heavy weaponry was guaranteed to work. That level of confidence came from raw power. He didn't ask who Gu Yan's backer was. It didn't matter anymore. If anyone dared make a move against him, Xiao Chen wouldn't hold back. After bidding Songya farewell, he returned to his small convenience store. He took out the intermediate evolution serum, popped the cap, and drank it in one go. The moment it entered his system, he felt it, the surge of power expanding inside him. His abilities intensified rapidly. His spatial ability, especially, was growing exponentially. From a modest 20 square meter storage space, it expanded to 200 square meters in an instant. 10 times the space. His eyes gleamed with excitement. Even his teleportation had become faster and more precise. With just a single thought, he could instantly blink to a new location. For 5 minutes, he tested the ability over and over again, teleporting non-stop, until a slight wave of dizziness finally hit him. Xiao Chen grinned, fully aware that his teleportation ability had undergone a true transformation. After all, with 5 minutes of continuous teleportation, he estimated he could now cross the entire city from west to east. That kind of range marked a clear leap in strength. He had become truly powerful. Just as he was basking in this progress, a familiar voice echoed in his mind. You have a new order. Please check and confirm. Xiao Chen froze. Gu Ming again. What does that brat want this time? He had just returned from dealing with Gu Ming. Now he was being summoned again? He quickly checked the new order in his mind. What he saw stunned him. Dimensional transfer. Ancient world. Prepare large quantities of antibiotics and melee weapons. Antibiotics and cold weapons? Ancient world? Xiao Chen blinked in disbelief. So a new world has opened up? The thought gave him a headache. After all, he was just running a convenience store. Where was he supposed to find antibiotics and weapons? Especially weapons. Those weren't tightly regulated, and not easy to obtain legally. After some thought, Xiao Chen sighed and decided to call in a favor. Mr. Zhao, is something wrong? Came Songya's voice over the phone. I need a bit of help, Xiao Chen said directly at this point. He and Songya were in the same boat, so he didn't need to be polite. I need a large amount of antibiotics and if possible, any kind of iron weaponry. He said, can you help me get that? Iron weapons? Songya sounded surprised. You need a lot of iron? Yeah, long story, Xiao Qing said with a wry smile. She paused, then said, the antibiotics are doable. I own a pharmacy. We can spare a fair amount but iron. How soon do you need it? Half an hour, Xiao Chen said. Helplessly, it was cutting it close. And he wasn't even sure he could make it happen. That's tight, Songya muttered. Anything that can be used as a weapon is fine. Xiao Chen added quickly, doughs and tea have to be refined, just anything solid and sharp. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. I've got a construction site, Songya finally said. We just had a shipment of rebar delivered. Rebar? Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. Reinforced steel bars. Perfect. Hard, dense, and absolutely lethal when swung as a weapon. Perfect. Can you have the rebar and medicine delivered to my place within 30 minutes? Don't worry, I'll have them there in 20. Songya replied without hesitation and immediately began giving orders. Xiao Chen waited anxiously. This new client, what kind of person were they? Would they be easy to deal with? More importantly, needing antibiotics and weapons in an ancient world suggested a dangerous situation, perhaps a war. Maybe a plague. Whoever this person was, they clearly had ambition. Soon, Old Wolf arrived at Xiao Chen's door, overseeing the delivery of materials. He had the rebar and boxes of medicine stacked neatly in Xiao Chen's courtyard. All done. Mr. Xiao, Old Wolf said. I'll be heading out. Thanks. Xiao Chen nodded. I'll go settle the payment tomorrow. No need. Old Wolf quickly replied. Boss said these are a gift. He had no idea what Xiao Chen wanted with all these supplies. But now was definitely not the time to ask questions. Deliver the goods, get out, simple. Once he confirmed Old Wolf had left, Xiao Chen immediately stored everything into his dimensional space. Then he chose to teleport. A flash of light engulfed him. The world around him shifted. He arrived in a barren wilderness. Not far ahead, a group of people stared at him in shock, eyes wide, mouths agape. Some even dropped to their knees. A deity. The deity is real. The fourth prince didn't lie. One man knelt and cried out. Immortal, please save our fourth prince. Xiao Chen scanned the group. All of them looked wounded and worn down, clearly battered by hardship. Where is your prince? Xiao Chen asked, instantly realizing. The fourth prince they referred to was most likely his client, another transmigrator. Please. This way. Immortal. They lead him quickly to a makeshift shelter, where a young man lay on a bed, his body wrapped in bandages, pale and weak. The moment he saw Xiao Chen, his eyes lit up, and he struggled to sit upright. You're from Earth, aren't you? The man asked, his voice hoarse but hopeful. I am, Xiao Chen nodded. Looks like you're in rough shape. My name is Zio. The man said, from Earth, born in 2024. My world is in the year 2024 too, Xiao Chen remarked with surprise. Glancing at CIO, Zio's injuries weren't critical, but the blood loss had left him pale. Once his subordinates left, only the two of them remained, seated face to face. So how do you end up like this? Xiao Chen asked with a faint smile. Zio sighed. Rebellion, of course, it always comes with a few complications. Xiao Chen blinked, then looked him over more carefully. This guy had guts. I heard from your men. You're the fourth prince? Xiao Chen asked, eyes narrowing slightly. Yep. Zio nodded. The emperor's least favorite son. I was thrown into the cold palace as a kid, so I waited for my chance. And when that old man finally kicked the bucket, I started a rebellion. He leaned in, eyes sharp. I got ambushed yesterday, damn near killed me. My men risked their lives to get me out, but now I'm short on weapons and medicine. Most of my people are fighting with whatever junk they can scavenge. If we were better equipped, I'd have wiped the floor with them already. Zio's gaze burned with frustration, then lit up again as he added, after I awakened the multiverse supply system, I figured I'd just buy some guns and blow everything to hell. He sighed. looking defeated. Turns out the system doesn't do firearms. Then, eyes gleaming with hope, he looked at Zhao Qin and said, "Bro, be straight with me, can you get your hands on some weapons for me? Price is no issue," he added, pointing to a large chest beside him. "This is all for you." Xiao Chun opened the chest. Inside was a trove of valuables, glittering jewels, intricate ornaments, rare antiques. "Our history's different from Earth's. Gio explained, some of your famous figures don't exist here. Otherwise, I toss in some famous paintings too. Anyway," he continued, looking at Xiao Chen expectantly, "did you bring anything this time? Honestly, you called too suddenly." "I didn't have time to prep anything fancy," Xiao Chen replied, "so I just brought some medicine and a batch of rebar." "Rebar?" Gio's eyes lit up. In this ancient world, rebar was practically divine weaponry. The hardness alone made it vastly superior to traditional blades. "How much?" he asked, trying to contain his excitement. "A few tons," Xiao Chen replied with a grin. "That's more than enough." Gio nearly jumped up, laughing. "Bro, I'll make sure to prep better for your next visit. I'll get you some real treasure next time." Then, a little more cautiously, he looked at Xiao Chen and asked, "Bro, is there any way I could go back to Earth? Just to take a look?" This was what he really wanted to know. Xiao Chen shook his head with a sigh. "No, can do. My ability only allows me to bring supplies across worlds, not people." He didn't explain the system's restrictions, but he knew it was specifically designed to prevent exactly that kind of loophole. "Damn, that's a shame." Zio sighed deeply, then looked serious. "Can I ask you a favor? I have a little sister back on Earth. I don't know how she's doing, and honestly, I'm probably listed as dead by now, maybe even buried already. She went through a lot for me. If you ever get the chance, please check on her. Look after her." He added with a grin, "She's really pretty, by the way." That made Xiao Chen blink. "How did you die?" he asked casually after Guming. He understood death was the price of crossing over. "Cancer, late stage." Zio answered flatly, "My sister sacrificed a lot to try and help me, so, if you run into her, please help however you can." Xiao Chen nodded solemnly. No matter what, they were in this together now. "All right, so where's the stuff?" Gio asked. Xiao Chen lifted a hand, and with a flick of thought, a large pile of medicine appeared out of thin air. Gio's eyes lit up immediately. "Bro, stash it again. Let's head outside. I want to put on a show." There was a fire in his eyes now. He knew that in a feudal world like this, Xiao Chen's display of power would be nothing short of divine. With just this one miracle, he could easily claim divine guidance and sway an untold number of followers to his side. "I'm building a revolution here, bro." Zio grinned as he led Xiao Chen toward the exit. "And with you on my side, I'm gonna recruit more than I can count." Xiao Chen laughed softly. "Understood the goods. Amazing, eh?" Gio muttered as he watched. "How do you get this power anyway?" "It's my ability," Xiao Chen replied calmly. "Think I could get it too?" Gio asked eagerly, eyes sparkling. "I'll ask." Xiao Chen replied he wasn't going to let a valuable client like this die off so easily. If he could get his hands on another evolution serum from Guming, it might just work. "Great." Gio grinned. Just the possibility was enough to excite him. With a new bounce in his step, he cheerfully led Xiao Chen out to meet the others. Outside, a crowd had already gathered. When Zio and the so-called immortal appeared, many couldn't contain their excitement. "Everyone," Gio said, voice loud and proud, "this is my elder brother, an immortal from the heavens today. He has come to deliver medicine and weapons to aid us." As he spoke, he turned toward Xiao Chen. With a wave of his hand, piles of rebar and crates of medical supplies materialized before them. The onlookers fell into stunned silence. They had already believed Xiao Chen was a divine being after all. He had appeared out of nowhere, but this display went far beyond their expectations. Steel and medicine, appearing from thin air? In their eyes, this was nothing short of a miracle. "Is this refined steel?" someone asked in awe, pointing at the neatly cut rebar. Some of the pieces had already been reshaped into makeshift weapons, easy to wield and terrifyingly sharp. "All right, I've delivered everything. I'm heading out," Zhao Qin said casually. Then turned to leave. He already stayed long enough. "Wait, brother. My sister's name is Zuxin. Please find her for me when you return to Earth," Zio said hurriedly. Xiao Chen gave a nod, then glanced at the chest full of treasures Zio had prepared without hesitation. He stored it in his dimensional space. In front of the astonished crowd, Xiao Chen vanished, gone in an instant. As the onlookers stared, Stunned, Zio turned around. Their expressions had shifted from utter reverence. After all, their prince could summon immortals from the heavens. Back on Earth, Xiao Chen opened the chest and glanced through the contents. Just as he expected, about half of the jewelry and artifacts were missing, most likely taken by Zio before the handoff. Even so, the remaining haul was impressive enough. Hacking everything up, along with the gold bars he received from Guming, Xiao Chen made his way to Jinyatong. At the entrance, Old Wolf rushed out to greet him. "Mr. Xiao, the boss is already waiting for you inside," he said hastily. Xiao Chen nodded and followed him in. Inside, Sonya was seated elegantly on the sofa, her long legs wrapped in black stockings. Immediately catching Xiao Chen's eyes, he noticed his gaze, but didn't seem the least bit annoyed. In fact, she shifted slightly, showing them off even more. "Mr. Xiao didn't come here just to admire me, I assume?" she teased, smiling. "Of course not," Xiao Chen replied with a small grin. He walked forward and handed her a large case. "Another shipment." "Excellent," Sonya said, eyes lighting up. She opened the box and her expression changed. She had expected another batch of gold bars, which was impressive enough, but what she found this time stunned her. Not just gold, but jewelry, antiques, and ornamental artifacts of unknown origin. She picked them up one by one, her brows furrowed in curiosity. As a dealer with deep roots in the antique world, Sonya had seen her share of rare items, but these, she couldn't even place their era. "Mr. Xiao," she asked cautiously, "forgive me for asking, but where exactly did these come from? I don't mean to pry, but the style is odd. They are clearly ancient, but I can't place the dynasty." Xiao Chen nodded calmly. He understood her confusion. According to Zio, these pieces came from an alternate ancient world. The dynasties, the rulers, the cultural lineage, they didn't exist in Earth's history. "I don't know either," Xiao Chen replied casually. "I acquired them overseas." "I see," Sonya said with a slow nod. "Understood." She carefully removed the contents of the case and called in a team of experts. Xiao Chen watched quietly as they began inspecting the artifacts, handling each item with reverence, studying every curve, material, and design. One of the experts muttered, "Based on material degradation, this is at least 500 years old. But the style, it's unlike anything I've seen." Soon, their discussions grew more animated as they tried to decode the origins of each piece. Eventually, they offered Sonya an appraisal. "Mr. Xiao, based on their uniqueness and condition, I'll offer 10 million yuan for the entire lot," she said decisively, with no hesitation. 10 million. Even Xiao Chen was slightly surprised. This haul had netted more than the gold from the apocalypse world as expected. Antiques were really the most profitable trade. With the deal done, Xiao Chen stood up, ready to leave. "Mr. Xiao, would you stay for dinner?" Sonya asked with a smile, her eyes glimmering. Truthfully, she was incredibly curious about him in such a short time. He had already profited handsomely from her business. More importantly, the people behind him, or whatever he was connected to, had to be extraordinary. "Maybe next time," Xiao Chen replied, shaking his head. He remained cautious of Sonya. Despite her calm demeanor and beauty, he knew she wasn't simple. That smile, those eyes beneath the surface, lay calculation and ambition. As he left, Sonya narrowed her eyes slightly but said nothing. She wanted to understand Xiao Chen better, but instinct warned her not to get too close. He was dangerous, and that much she understood well. Leaving Jinyatong, Xiao Chen turned and headed next door to see Fatihi. "Xiao Chen," the man called out as soon as he saw him, "I was just about to look for you." "Oh? What's up?" Xiao Chen asked, raising a brow. "It's about the village," Fatihi said with a sigh. "That damn village chief and his son, they've been discharged from the hospital, and guess what? That bastard Zhao Yan is swearing up and down it was you who did it. What's worse," he added with a grimace, "I heard they sent people to your old place and trashed the house." Xiao Chen's expression shifted slightly. "Zhao Yan? Still capable of stirring up trouble?" Seeing his confusion, Fatihi explained. "He can't move himself, sure, but his lackeys are just fine. They went straight to your old house and tore the place apart. Even though you've moved to the city, your ancestral home got wrecked on T. Let them get away with it." Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold as he narrowed his eyes. "Got it. I'll handle it. I'm heading out now." Just as he was about to leave, Fatihi grabbed his arm. "Xiao Chen," he said in a low voice, "I don't know what you did before, but if anything happens to those two again, you're the prime suspect. This time, maybe, just let it go?" Xiao Chen understood the first time he dealt with Xiao Yan and his father, there had been no evidence. And they had plenty of enemies, so no one could pin it on him. But this time, if something happened again right after they smashed his place, the police wouldn't need to look far. That kind of attention could get troublesome, especially now that he was frequently hopping between dimensions. Any kind of tail or surveillance would make his movements far more complicated. All right. I hear you, Xiao Chen said at last. Adding Fatty he on the shoulder. Don't worry. I'll take care of it. By the way, Fatty, he said suddenly, King Ke's back. That made Xiao Chen pause in his tracks, his expression darkened noticeably. King Ke, his childhood sweetheart. Years ago, they had grown up together. When her family was struggling, it was Xiao Chen who supported her through school. She wouldn't have even finished high school without him. Then, right after graduation, she vanished. No explanation, no goodbye. Just a message, she was going overseas. Later, he learned through others that she had left with another man. A relationship. A betrayal. From that moment on, Xiao Chen had never gotten involved with another woman. Now, to hear she was back. I see, he said with a forced smile. Then turned and left. He had no intention of dealing with King Ke. But the Xiao family, those two bastards, clearly hadn't learned their lesson. Still causing trouble even in their crippled state. He could endure the insult, but that didn't mean he'd forget. Then again, maybe he didn't need to act personally this time. Moments later, Xiao Chen walked back into Jinyatang. Back again so soon? Song Ya asked with a smile. Coming to have dinner with me after all? She sat elegantly, her smile radiant, and Xiao Chen had to admit, when she smiled like that, she was truly stunning. I need a favor, Xiao Chen said, getting straight to the point. Of course. Song Yan nodded, her tone serious. If I can help, I'll do my best. She knew very well what kind of person Xiao Chen was and how important it was to stay on good terms with him. Xiao Chen briefly explained what had happened back in his village. Song Ya's smile turned playful. So Mr. Xiao wants me to step in? I could kill them, Xiao Chen said flatly, but that might bring trouble. Song Ya nodded thoughtfully. Then let's go the official route. Don't worry. I'll handle it. She turned to Old Wolf behind her, who immediately understood and left to take care of the arrangements. But she added, flashing a smile, I'm doing you a big favor here. You wouldn't make me handle all this without at least buying me dinner, would you? Xiao Chen looked at her as she was smiling. But there was something in her gaze. A sharpness. A hint of curiosity he couldn't quite read. After a brief pause, he nodded. All right. It was just dinner, after all. Sonya's face lit up with satisfaction. She grabbed his arm with playful insistence. Great. Then let's go. Xiao Chen followed along, slightly uneasy. The whole way there, Sonya kept looking at him, openly without hiding it. That steady gaze made Xiao Chen uncomfortable. He didn't know why. But being watched by this woman made his skin crawl. Her stare wasn't flirtatious. It was probing, calculating. By the time they arrived at the hotel, he was more tense than he'd been in any of his recent dimensional travels. As they got out of the car, a woman approached from the opposite direction. She froze the moment she saw Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen. He had just stepped out when he heard the familiar voice. His body stiffened. Turning his head, he saw her, King Ke. She was holding onto the arm of a short, plainly dressed man, and staring at Xiao Chen in stunned disbelief. Xiao Chen looked at her, then let out a long sigh. Damn that fatty he really is a jinx. He had just mentioned King Ke. And now here she was, with another man, at a hotel. His expression was complicated. They had grown up together. She had once meant everything to him. She had nothing, he gave her everything. And then she left. No word. No closure. Now, standing here again after all these years, all Xiao Chen felt was a wave of annoyance and disgust. King Ke's expression was complicated, mostly awkward. She opened her mouth, just about to say something, when Sonya suddenly walked over, slipped her arm around Xiao Chen's, and smiled sweetly. Why didn't you wait for me? Xiao Chen was momentarily stunned by her gesture, and he wasn't the only one. King Kef rose on the spot as well, her eyes fixed on the two of them, especially on Sonya. This woman was stunning. Her beauty was elegant and commanding, the kind that made King Ke instinctively feel inferior. The man beside King Ke, short, chubby, and dressed with the self-importance of a nouveau rich, lit up when he saw Sonya with a gleaming smile. He stepped forward. Miss, I'm Zhang Ming, he said, puffing out his chest. Do you know Yanming Group? That's our family's business. Oh? Sonya glanced at him briefly, then turned to Xiao Chen with a smile. Let's go, time for dinner. Tianming Group? Of course Sonya knew it. A tiny, Irrelevant company. Not even worth remembering. Being brushed off so completely. Zhang Ming's face darkened as a second-generation rich kid. He wasn't used to being ignored, especially not by a woman this stunning. His expression twisted into a mix of embarrassment and anger, just as he was about to block her path. He froze. The hotel manager was already standing at the entrance, waiting respectfully the moment he saw Songya. He rushed forward with a deep bow. President Song. Welcome, everything has been prepared. Shall I escort you and Mr. Zhao in? Then, turning to Zhao Chen, he added with a warm smile, Mr. Xiao, my name is Wang Hao. I'm the manager here. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to ask. As he led them toward the elevator, he continued politely introducing the hotel's amenities. The largest and most luxurious hotel in the city. Zhao Chen glanced over at Songya. She smiled faintly and said, "This hotel's my new Ray. Welcome anytime. Free of charge." Zhao Chen just smiled and nodded. He wasn't surprised Songya had never been a simple woman. Behind them, Qin Ke and Zhang Ming stood in silence, watching as Zhao Chen and Songya were ushered inside like royalty. Qin Ke's gaze was filled with mixed emotions. She felt something she hadn't expected: regret. Years ago, she had chosen comfort over love. She left Zhao Chen, believing he had no future, and went abroad with Zhang Ming. But Zhang Ming had never truly treated her well. Now, back in her hometown, the first person she ran into was Zhao Chen, the man she once thought would never make something of himself. But here he was, with a woman more beautiful and confident than she could ever hope to be, and clearly someone of great status. And she'd returned with nothing but a heart full of what-ifs. Zhang Ming, meanwhile, had turned pale. He stared at the man being fawned over and whispered to Qin Ke, "Do you know that guy?" "I do," she replied softly. "A few years ago, he was just a poor kid." "No way." Zhang Ming scoffed. "You have no idea who you're looking at. My dad told me this hotel has very deep backing. Anyone who gets that kind of reception is from serious money there. No way he used to be poor." He paused, then muttered, "I'd better be careful." Qin Ke didn't respond. She was stunned. She had grown up with Zhao Chen. They were both orphans. She had seen firsthand how tough his life had been after his parents died. She had known he wouldn't be able to give her a future. But now, it seemed the man she left behind had become someone she could no longer even reach. "An ex-girlfriend?" Songya asked casually as they entered the elevator. Zhao Chen nodded. There was no point denying it. Songya was too sharp. "I didn't expect that, Mr. Xiao," she said with a sly smile. Quite the story. She was genuinely intrigued by him. Despite his rising power and mysterious abilities, everything in his past, according to what she'd investigated, pointed to an extremely ordinary man. Less than ordinary even. And yet here he was. Over dinner, Songya did most of the talking. Zhao Chen stayed alert. This woman was too clever. She kept trying to probe him, subtly steering the conversation to test his reactions. But she never crossed the line. Anything sensitive, she didn't touch. In that way, she had impressive restraint. Partway through, Old Wolf entered the room. "Mr. Zhao," he said quickly, "the legal team has been dispatched. The police have already accepted the case. We have clear evidence. The men who destroyed your old house will all be prosecuted. Minimum 5 years behind bars." He added quietly, "Once they're inside, there will be accidents. Most won't come out in one piece." Zhao Qin nodded. With Old Wolf handling it, he didn't need to worry. As for the village chief and his son, Old Wolf continued, "Since they're already disabled, they won't serve time. They can't even sit up on their own anymore. But don't worry. We'll pressure them for compensation. They'll pay to restore your family home." Zhao Chen nodded again, saying nothing more. Everything was handled. That old house in the village left to him by his parents still held meaning, but for now, Zhao Chen had no need to return. The village was sparsely populated to begin with. And now that he had the house gifted by Songya in the city, there was simply no reason to go back. Thinking it through, Zhao Chen nodded toward Old Wolf. "Thanks again." "Not a problem," Songya said with a light smile. "But since I've helped you out with something pretty big, maybe you could return the favor?" Zhao Chen glanced at her. "Name it." "There's a business banquet in about half a month," she said, her eyes fixed on him with a meaningful smile. "I want you to attend with me." She paused briefly, then added, "I'll be honest. Showing up will definitely stir up some trouble for you, so if you want to say no, I won't blame you." "Trouble?" Zhao Chen raised an eyebrow. "What kind?" Songya sighed. "In this city, Gu Yan wasn't the only one eyeing me, he just happened to be the most shameless. There's another man, someone with power, who's been pressuring me behind the scenes. He and Gu Yan kept each other in check, but now that Gu Yan's gone, he's starting to make his move. Xiao Chun understood immediately. With Gu Yan suddenly disappearing, that delicate balance had been broken. He's threatening you, he asked. Yes, Sonya nodded. He's given me a deadline. If I don't give him what he wants, he'll make it impossible for Jin Yedong to continue operating. She looked at Xiao Chen, expression calm but tinged with helplessness. If that happens, I'll have to leave. Xiao Chen was silent for a moment, then nodded. All right. I'll go with you. After all, he finally had a stable channel for offloading goods from other worlds if Jin Yedong was shut down. What would he do? As for the man behind it, did it matter who he was? If worse came to worst, he'd eliminate him too. He didn't even realize it himself. But Xiao Chen's mindset had long since changed. Sonya's eyes lit up with relief at his agreement. That was all she needed, his word. With Xiao Chen standing beside her, everything became negotiable. His name is Wang Huji, she said. Young master of the Wang family, wealthiest family in the city. Xiao Chen nodded. Got it. Don't underestimate them, she added. Wang Huji's uncle holds a very high position in the government officially, second in command in the provincial administration. What about Gu Yan's backing? Xiao Chen asked casually. Roughly equivalent, Sonya said thoughtfully. Probably third in command. The two families were always in a cold war of sorts. So by helping you, Xiao Chen chuckled, I'm basically making enemies out of half the city's elite. Sonya smiled faintly. Maybe. Or maybe they just won't dare touch you. She wasn't joking at this point. Xiao Chen was no longer an unknown variable, he was a known threat. His name had already quietly appeared on some high-level watch lists. Everyone knew what had happened to Xiao Yan and his father. And then there was Gu Yan, vanished without a trace. The higher-ups might not know the details, but they knew enough. They all knew those men had one thing in common: they had offended the same person. And the scariest kind of person was the one whose limits were unknown. No one wanted to be the next test case. That was exactly why Sonya wanted to bring Xiao Chen to the banquet. A silent declaration: I may not have powerful backers, but someone like this is standing behind me. After dinner, Sonya linked arms with Xiao Chen as they left the private room. Old Wolf was already waiting outside with the car. As they got in, Xiao Chen glanced back and saw Qin Ke and Jiang Ming watching from a distance. Qin Ke's gaze was especially complex, laced with regret and something darker. Resentment, maybe. Xiao Chen didn't even bother to look at her again. Women like that? Not even worth a glance. Then he turned to Sonya. Help me get a visa. You're going abroad? She blinked. For how long? Are you coming back? Of course, Xiao Chen said with a grin. Didn't I promise I'd help you deal with those problems? I just have a few things to handle overseas. The truth was, Gu Ming had given him an offshore account. But even unregistered ones required an in-person visit to activate and manage. No way around it. And there was another reason too. Weapons. Real. Modern firearms for ZIO. After all, the guy was leading a full-blown rebellion in a feudal world. Guns would change everything. Got it. Sonya nodded. How long will you be gone? A week tops. With his dimensional space, he could carry enough supplies to last for multiple trips. And if needed, do a little zero-cost procurement while he was out of the country. That night, Xiao Chen messaged both Gu Ming and ZIO. I'll be gone for a while. Don't place any new orders unless it's urgent. Once he accepted a request, he had to deliver. But during this upcoming trip, he wouldn't be available for at least a week. Gu Ming replied quickly. Then send me another shipment of food first. If you're gone for a week, that's like 3 weeks on my side. I won't last a month without more supplies. Gu Ming's forces had grown rapidly, all supported by the food Xiao Chen provided. And food in a post-apocalyptic world? It was everything. This time, bro, get me a bulk supply of military rations. Compressed biscuits or something, the more the better. Gu Ming's message came in fast and direct. Compressed rations had a long shelf life and could be transported in massive quantities. Xiao Chen didn't hesitate. He immediately called one of his suppliers and arranged for direct delivery. Meanwhile, another message popped up. From ZIO. Bro, those rebar pieces you gave me. The short ones are great. My men can use them no problem, but the long ones, they're useless here. You have no idea how awkward this stuff is in my world. It's just not made for this era. Xiao Chen sighed. Fair enough, rebar was practically legendary grade metal in an ancient world. but the full-length bars were clearly too unwieldy thinking it through. He arranged for Old Wolf to deliver a rebark udder. He'd bring it to ZIO next trip. As for food, ZIO was fine on that front. He had seized several granaries during his rebellion, and the medicine Zhao Chen delivered last time was still holding up. What he lacked was still metal refined. Usable metal that was what kept his army fighting so hard. Now, with Zhao Chen's materials, he had already captured several cities. First, Zhao Chen made a trip to ZIO's world to deliver the machinery in return. He brought back a shipment of gold, silver, and rare gems. Then he traveled to Gu Ming's world, propping off a truckload of compressed biscuits and taking back a batch of gold bars and a vial of low-grade evolution serum. Bro, you might not need this stuff anymore, Gu Ming explained, but you can still use it to trade. For others, this stuff is priceless. Zhao Chen nodded and stored it away. He could definitely offer it to ZIO in the future as part of a deal. With that, his multiverse raid route remained strong and active. Once everything was wrapped up, Old Wolf delivered Zhao Qin's passport and flight ticket. That same night, Zhao Chen boarded a flight overseas, his destination being the same country where Gu Ming had studied. Upon arrival, Zhao Chen went straight to the bank. At a private counter, he entered the account credentials Gu Ming had provided. No identity check required. Moments later, the screen lit up $200 million USD. Zhao Chen couldn't stop grinning. Rich kids really are loaded. And now, that fortune belonged to him. He contacted Songya to discuss the transfer. She sent him a secure domestic account and promised to launder the funds safely once they arrived. After taking care of that, Zhao Chen turned to the other task at hand. Weapons. He messaged the Old Wolf. I need to buy some firearms. Any contacts? Old Wolf's voice came through the call a moment later, laced with concern. Mr. Zhao, if you plan to bring that stuff back to the mainland, it's not going to work. That's dangerous. Relax, Zhao Chen said calmly. I'm not bringing it back. It's not for Earth. It was for ZIO. That guy was leading a revolution. Zhao Chen had to support his biggest customer. If ZIO succeeded, he wouldn't just be a warlord. He'd be emperor, and entire world's resources would be at Zhao Chen's fingertips. Old Wolf reluctantly gave him a contact number, with repeated warnings not to cause international incidents. Zhao Chen pretended not to hear. He visited the arms dealer's location. Somewhat remote, but open for business. In that country, firearms weren't exactly hard to come by. He spent $100,000 USD and acquired a stockpile of rifles, ammo, and basic military gear. Then he dropped another $100,000 and bought 2 tanks. With everything packed away in his dimensional space, he headed to the airport. Just as he was about to check in, Zhao Chen? The voice stopped in mid-step. He turned slightly, frowning. Kinke stood there, eyes wide with disbelief. She rushed up to him. What are you doing here? Ever since she saw him at the hotel back home, she hadn't slept well. The man she once left behind had somehow become someone untouchable. Worse, her current boyfriend Jiang Ming was getting stingier by the day. In truth, he treated her more like a toy than a partner. And now, she was preparing to get dumped. Naturally, she began thinking about Zhao Chen. Once utterly devoted to her now, he was the best option she could imagine. But Zhao Chen only glanced at her. He didn't speak, didn't greet her. Didn't even look at her again. He calmly checked in and walked straight into the VIP lounge. Kinke stood there frozen. Back then, no matter what she said or did, Zhao Chen would always respond, always put her first. But now? He didn't even acknowledge her. She tried to follow him, only to be stopped by security. That's the first-class VIP lounge, they said. Not accessible to regular passengers. Kinke's face turned pale. Her feelings twisted inside shame, regret, even resentment. But it didn't matter, as he no longer had the right to reach him. Inside the lounge, Zhao Chen leaned back and sent a message to ZIO. I've got the gear. Firearms, ammo, and 2 tanks. Get ready. I'll deliver once I'm back. The reply came almost instantly. Boss, you're unbelievable. With these, no one's gonna lay a finger on me. ZIO was ecstatic. He knew better than anyone in ancient world, these weapons were divine.